Well, joining me in the studio is Nabila Ramdani, a journalist specialising in Islamic affairs and the Arab world. Listening to Rana there, Nabila, the next few days will be key for Libya, and in particular for the National Transitional Council about how they are going to proceed. Much has been said about fears about tribal warfare and sectarianism. Do you see that happening there?
Well, absolutely. I think there has always been a question mark over who the National Transitional Council is and who the rebel forces fighting on the grounds are. And what has been abundantly clear throughout the conflict is there has always been a discrepancy between the leadership of the National Transitional Council, who are mainly educated men who mainly lived in exile for most of their lives because of their political dissent towards the Gaddafi regime, and rebel forces on the ground who are, let's be perfectly honest, a mixed bag of very decent people who took up arms for many of them for the first time in their lives to challenge a very nasty regime.
But they have been very clear about underplaying the tribal factions at play in Libya. They've said that there are no divisions, they are unified in their calls to bring down the Gaddafi regime.
And that was perhaps the main common goal, to oust Gaddafi and to get rid of a 42-year period of dictatorship, and to get rid of, put an end, a definite end to Gaddafi's own revolution, which he had started in 1969. But aside from that, there has never been a clear political vision for Libya. Security experts have expressed concerns about the ability of the National Transitional Council to implement the vision for Libya. So let's also remember that the National Transitional Council is an unelected body, and it's a very divided group.
Well, given that, are you worried then that you're hearing from, for example, President Obama in NATO, Anders Fogh Rasmussen, saying that, you know, they will ensure that the Libyan people alongside the National Transitional Council get the backing they need to secure a road to democracy?
Well, that's also a worrying aspect, if I may say so, because it also means that the West and NATO will be still massively involved in internal politics in Libya, which is something that ideally the Libyans do not want in the long term.
But they are still, though, fundamentally recognising the National Transitional Council, aren't they?
Well, very much so, and that has been a NATO strategy evolving throughout this conflict, because they needed to have a legitimate body to speak to prepare for a potential aftermath, a post-Gaddafi period. So, and effectively, if we remember the origin of the National Transitional Council, it was founded and set up by President Sarkozy of France, who put together a few members and said, right, this is the NTC.
Given that, then, what do you think is likely to happen within the next couple of months? I know that's a very difficult question to answer, given the fact that we don't have a crystal ball, but how you know the organisation is operating at the moment, the National Transitional Council, what do you think they will be doing first?
It will be a hugely challenging period for them. That's for definite. I have been actually speaking to the representative of the National Transitional Council in the UK, who's now the ambassador to Libya, and he interestingly described himself as a journalist, an author and an independent. So that says a lot about the lack of unity in the group.
Good to get your insight, Nabila. Thank you very much.